Welcome back to the channel, everybody. We're joined by Mr. Andrew Ward, the general manager of the DC account at Candy.com. Welcome back, Mr. Ward.
Thanks for having me, Prez. It's great to be back.
Yes, here we are. Let's go. Let's do this. First of all, I'd just like to thank you and the teams and the community for, um, you know, just just being part of this like shared experience that we have, which seems to be um, pretty nonstop, right? Doesn't stop for anybody. I'm pretty sure like, and I see you check some, I see you post and stuff on, or like see you like some comments on the weekend. I'm sure like it runs in your mind all the time. So I just want to just extend this thanks for being here and yeah, just yeah, being here.
No, no, thank you for having me on here, and I just love how engaged people like you and others in the community are with the projects, giving us the feedback and holding us accountable and enjoying the ride along the way.
No, absolutely, absolutely. I think so. I'm just getting all the GMs in here. Um, I think it's definitely been a journey for myself as well as content creator, Mr. Ward. How I actually I go in as a user as well, and then now for you to be able to join me and ask and represent the community. I hope I'll be able to do it justice. And I haven't been perfect. I'm not gonna lie. Like I've stumbled a few times, and like there's things like why did I do that? Or why did I say those things? But I think it's just part of the journey that we're on. And just speaking on that, actually expanding on it, looking back in 23, like how has it been for you? Um, and how has it been? And how long did you know about the merger? And how did that set the tone for the rest of the year?
I mean, 2023 was a wild year, even without the merger. Like we found out in March that our payment provider and uh, fiat off ramp provider was leaving the space. So we had to pivot from our plans to address that and build out new withdrawals processes. We had the multiverse event with the Flash.
Oh
That
yeah.
was awesome. So we had the comic series around that, and then also the screenings for backcal holders for the Flash premiere. We had the Jim Lee signing event at San Diego Comic Con. Batman #1 dropped in September.
Oh yes.
But yeah, the merger was definitely the biggest thing that happened, internally and externally.
Mhm.
Um, it's something that took a lot of time and focus to make happen, and we're really proud of how it was able to be executed. But took a lot of planning and a lot of work to make that happen.
Mhm. Did you know about the merger? Was it February you knew about it? And did a lot of technical expectations get pinned on or delayed because of? Did you think like okay, let's wait till December and then we could roll out some of the more popular themes we'll be talking about endlessly, I guess, and you get endlessly asked for.
So I forget when I found out about it. It definitely wasn't February. It was later in the year.
Right.
But the development effort leading up to the announcement and the actual migration process was probably 4 to 5 months worth of engineering with like thousands of man hours that went into it.
Mhm.
So that definitely was part of a reason on like a technical improvement slowdown on the Palm NFT platform. But that work is what brought us to the Candy platform where we are today, where we're on like the really solid foundation of Candy.com, and we're able to move forward with a lot of these offerings that have kind of been put on pause for some time.
Mm. I guess this is just a build-up question to it. What was the main challenges you had last year, and what do you think the main challenges are this year?
Um, I mean, there were a lot of challenges. It was very hard to know what was happening behind the scenes and know that we had slowed down in some aspects, and hearing that feedback from the community and not being able to communicate the reasons why to everyone. And just the things that are completely outside of our control. Like, we didn't expect that there was going to be, the U.S. on on the brink of a banking crisis, and needing to pivot our roadmap to focus on identifying new providers, instead of other things that we had planned and had prioritized that would, deliver new utility for our users rather than backfilling utility that had left the platform. Um, Challenges for this year, hard to say what they're going to be. It's only January right now, but there are a lot of things that we're very excited about. So making sure that we're able to deliver on things like overdrive and self custody and the interactive reader in the way that we're envisioning, and in a way that
Mhm.
meets and exceeds the expectations of the community.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, we talked about that. I'm just gonna send out the hearts out. I'm just gonna highlight all these amazing comments.
Thanks for the coffee, Ellis.
Yeah. They should know it's like live. Yeah, it's definitely live, everybody. I hope my one of my major fears, like just to dip away from this, is to like, what if my internet cuts out at this like time? Like, everybody's here, like, it's just some of the fears that I face. But I mean, obviously we're leading up to this. And we're saying like, do you feel like tempering expectations is essential for the long-term success of the project? And has that.
So I think it is, but it's definitely a fine balance that you need to weigh between tempering expectations, but still keeping
The hype.
people excited enough that
Yeah.
they are still engaged and coming back to the project and staying with you while you're building. So it's one of those things where, like,
Hmm.
we want to make sure that as we roll out new features on the platform like Overdrive, we know that the version of Overdrive that you see on day one is not going to be what that final product actually looks like. So if you're coming in with expectations that this is going to blow you away out of the gate, you're probably going to be a little disappointed, because we're building it in a way that we're going to be iterating based on feedback from the community. So that's why we're rolling out with a beta test, and we're going to take in feedback to help inform the way that that is shaped and changes for the future.
See, when you say you're building a project in real time, um, and having some software consultancy experience is what I do. Is like, we know what happens behind the scenes. There's like testing phases. There's the planning, but meshed with like something like a creative process like this, how soon can, let's say, a new idea come up? Let's say a new idea for Overdrive. So Caitlin trickled this up. She said, yeah, new ideas come along all the time. And, I'm guessing you guys have reiterated those versions. And guys, we will talk about that more later on. But how long has that come from inception to development to testing to planning and then to rollout? Or do you have a pre-plan before, or do you really work off of real-time feedback? I'm trying to, I guess that's the, yeah, that's probably not how I plan to ask this, but it was a bit more detailed. But I'll let you kind of see where, if that makes sense at all.
I mean, we try to plan as much as we can, but uh, plans are constantly changing. We get feedback from the community like, oh, why didn't you share this information sooner? Why didn't you tell us about this earlier so that we could plan for it? And in a lot of cases, it's because that's not the way that the original idea was that we started building it. But as we go through this process of working through ideas internally and with DC and WBD, like we get new pieces of information. We hear about other things that DC is working on that we can kind of pull into and tie into and do cross promotion events like the enter the multiverse event with the Flash. That
Oh,
was
that's so
something
good.
that was evolving like in real time, getting covers from DC last minute, the ideas of pulling in community members' names into the comic books was not
Yes.
a part of the original idea, but
Oh,
that's
so
something
good.
that someone at DC thought of and wanted to incorporate, and we're like, let's run with that. That's fantastic. So it really is, we come into projects, features, engagement initiatives with an idea and a framework, but it's something that's evolving the entire time that we're creating it. And even after we release it, we're listening to how people are responding to it, and making changes as we need to. Like there was, I forget what the exact project was, but it was something with voting or one of the challenges where we said, if you get everything correct, we'll airdrop you a Harley Quinn Charm Offensive collection token. But because it was based on getting all of the answers correct, we could only offer it to users in the US. And the feedback that we got from the community around that was so resoundingly in opposition of that because it was excluding our international users that we changed that in the middle of the challenge to say anyone who participates
I
is
remember
able to receive a charm offensive. And you know th-
that.
that's the way regulations work. So we're trying something, getting feedback in real time and making changes to listen to the community and react to that.
Yeah, that is amazing, and also a lot of moving pieces. Oh, well, I just want to like reiterate on the multiverse thing. I know that a member of the community came out of. I mean, they were just going for drops. They had a cowl, but they never went into Discord. They never went into X or anything else like that. But when they saw that community members were featured in a comic book, apparently that person woke up from that dormant sleep and suddenly started being more active. It just shows you the uniqueness of some of the things in this project. And I know I'm preaching to the choir, but um, it's definitely one of the things I love the most, and I think it's the most unique about the project. So
Yeah, that was one of my favorite things that we've done in the past year. And like, that idea came from DC to put you guys in the comic books. And that's like part of the reason why I love working with a company like DC so much, because they have so much respect for their fans and love to just like recognize how much you guys love their projects and how much they love your participation with them.
so apparently I should pay my internet bills and then my internet won't cut out. Okay, well, how about buy some of my listings and then I'll be able to. So for candyupdates.com, um, I love this one because it's basically a site where what is the ideas for this? Is this gonna go up a bit more? What are you is this where we should say, let's there's a new user, we send them this website. Is this our go-to page for official updates, tech updates, and user onboarding?
So this is something that we're going to be updating as new projects and features are rolled out. So one of the things that has been missing is that there was no single resource that someone who is unfamiliar with the projects could go to learn more about what has been delivered and what is upcoming. So we wanted to put something together so that, people like Jake don't need to be constantly sharing screenshots of the things that have been delivered in this project when people ask, "What is a bat cow? What do you do with that?" And, that's why we felt it was important to create something like this so that there's that record of everything that you guys have been able to participate in over the course of this journey.
And obviously all the soons that will be, well, I'll be asking, but you don't have to answer, I guess. But no, this is an amazing site. Again, I just wanted to give you your flowers here. And if you haven't got checked it out yet, guys, candyupdates.com. What are you excited about short term and throughout 2024? I guess you've answered this and you haven't. I'd leave you to kind of say something.
So, I mean, we are today's January 29th, so that means that we are at most 1 month away from the Overdrive beta launching for you all. So I'm super excited to be delivering on that. Like, it's really important to us that we're delivering on the promises that we made in that original 2-year roadmap for the Bat Cows project. And I mean, Overdrive was promised before the Bat Cows even existed, but was also a part of that original Bat Cows roadmap. So making sure that we're delivering on that feature, I'm super excited about, really looking forward to getting the feedback from the community on what they think of this first beta experience and how they would like to see it change and evolve over the course of it. But then we also have the serialized experiences for the DC3 comics and the interactive comic book reader.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I'm very excited about where this could go.
Mm,
Um, I think that the way that we have been delivering digital comics to our users so far has really kind of just mirrored. It's basically a digital version of a physical comic book, which is, there's a reason why people like collecting comic books, and there's a reason why people like collecting digital comic books. But there's more that we can do in a digital environment that you can't do in a physical environment. So I think taking advantage of this technology that we have and building comic book reader in a way to really enhance this as being a digital experience and taking advantage of what we can do digitally will set it apart from the physical collecting experience. And my hope is that this is going to be a big thing that helps to grow our audience over the next year and years to come, where um, we'll connect with the physical collectors of today and show them that, it's not just a digital version of your physical comic book, but it's a continuation of the comic experience and lets you interact with the characters and the storylines and the artists in ways that you can't in a physical comic book.
oh my God. What a what an amazing time. I don't even know how to comment on this. I feel like I really I get tingles when you said it as well on when I've seen it the first time, we were like, what a serialized storylines. Interactive DC3 reader, we were like going nuts. when that 52-day, and by the way, when the 52-day update was arriving, we're like, we have no expectations. We don't want to get disappointed, because I remember countless iterations of me going, "Oh my God, it's 52-day! I can't wait!" And I still did it. I still did it. And then during this time, we were like, "No, no, no! Don't want to expect anything." Even Hulkman was like, "Nope, nope, do not want to expect anything." But when it did drop, um, it's like you dropped the whole Pandora's box on us, and this one was like, it really feels different. I mean, I remember reading, and again, I don't even know if we'll go down this path, but like choose your own story adventure books, right? Or um, I don't know, like just have being more immersed with the reading experience. It's kind of like halfway through watching a movie. It's gamified also in a way, so I can't wait. Are you okay? I'm not gonna say when. I'm just gonna say I'm looking forward to it, and it's definitely a big deal in my opinion. Even just as a first step, because who knows, right? We're in the technology space as well. This could only get better. So
Yeah, and it's, back to tempering expectations. It's something that's going to be a journey that we're building over the course of this year. So we have a lot of different ideas of ways that we can take advantage of this. Some of them we know we'll be able to deliver on right away. Others are going to require more development and also, coordination across us and DC and their talent. But it's definitely one of the things that I view as changing, being able to change the space. Like,
wow. Are you
it,
ready for the new users, guys? Let's go. Mr. Ward, joking aside, with this one, is this exclusive to DC Comics, or does Candy have a right to? Let's say this is a successful campaign over the next year. What if other comic brands will be? Could they be knocking, or is this something tied to DC exclusively? I guess is the question.
so right now we're just totally focused on DC, but I think that it's definitely something that you could see expanding, maybe not necessarily on our platform, but on other platforms in the space or new platforms, because I think that, you know, there's definitely a trend moving away from physical collecting and figuring out how, brands like DC or Marvel can continue evolving to keep capturing where these users are moving to.
Mhm.
So I think it's definitely something that we'll see expanding more and more of in the future.
Wow. I'm gonna quickly check on the comments because it has certainly blown up. Okay. Um, yeah, no, for sure. Um, wow, hybrid is the new thing. Okay, right. Moving away from, well, moving along those kind of lines. Um, what are your thoughts on getting the regular user that's not in Web3, that's a DC fan? And I'm sure that's always a question that you guys are discussing, but you know, and the interactive reader would hopefully bring that forward a bit more. And obviously, we'll do our part as a community to share these across and share my experiences with interactive reader. I'm sure that's coming up with multiple content creators and even the people just tweeting about what their experiences are. But do, do you have, I guess what I'm trying to say here, what are your thoughts on just that concept anyway of mass adoption? Um,
I mean, I think that the Web3 space has not done themselves any favors in uh, making mass adoption easy with the number of scams that have been out there, and the reputation that has been developed over the past couple of years, like, there's a very good reason why people are skeptical of NFT projects, and I think it's very fair for people who are unfamiliar with the space to feel that way. And that's one of the things that we see frequently when we try to expand our reach outside of the DC NFT space to DC more broadly. People are immediately skeptical about what
Mm,
we are pushing, what we're trying to sell, and feeling like it's some kind of a scam. So I think it's demonstrating what the value is to those users that we are able to deliver that they can't get today. And I think the BatCals program is one of those things that really does a great job of doing that, that shows a DC fan that you can have a voice in the DC universe and shape a comic book storyline and create a new DC supervillain. Like, those are the types of things that your regular DC fan or your regular physical collector is not able to do. So I think expanding that type of utility for the people coming into the space is the thing that's going to drive that mass adoption. So I think that's why leaning into new capabilities on the digital comics front is another place where we can really try to move the needle on the mass adoption.
wow. Yeah, I guess that's where we should lead on every time someone's a fan of Batman. Well, I'm involved in an experience where I get to vote on the next what happens to the next what happens to Batman and the Batcows on the next new original DC villain. Yeah, for sure. Um, wow, that's really good thoughts. I mean, I was gonna ask something else, but actually, I want to build on that. You know, with Web3, it's always a when kind of scenario, right? And obviously, with this project as well, it's always a when scenario. Um, like example from this interview, it's always going to be a when scenario, and sometimes even if you hit those, it's going to be another when coming. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, that's for mass adoption. But for Web3, do you think that there is any cornerstones um, that needs to be hit for the Web3 audience? Are you still confident that the team will hit the self custody target by May, and then thus fulfilling all the promises? When Overdrive comes into play.
I mean, I'm not going to be confident until it's ready to be shipped and delivered. Um, our focus and our goal is to make sure that we're delivering on this within the 2-year roadmap, but there are things that can come up that could derail that. So, you know, we are promising that that's what we are targeting, but until it's ready to be delivered to you all, it's there's always a chance that that could move, and we understand what that means to the trust of the community, and that's why it's so important to us to stick to that original timeline.
Absolutely. Um, and this plan include self custody of comic books and collectibles on top of the back house.
I mean, that's my goal. I think that it should be for all of the collectibles that you own. There could be different implications about what that means as far as what your ability is to take advantage of utility on platform once it's moved to self custody. So that's something else that we're taking into consideration. Like, how do we build those connections so that we're able to continue delivering utility while it's in self custody? But the ultimate goal is that everyone will be able to hold all of their collectibles in their own self-custody wallets.
Mr. Ward, what's been the what are the reasons that has delayed self custody or could have delayed? Was it internally fighting for that ability to be able to do so within internal stakeholders, or has there been technical difficulties? Again, I just wanted to just get a bit more insight on the topic as to why. And I guess what's been more apparent to me is like the merger, the marketplace was the first priority, obviously, and making sure everyone's accounts have the right USDC balance and everything. But now you're in that same platform, you're more confident in delivering that. But are you able to give any like, yeah, just kind of vague kind of explanations as to why that particular piece has taken that long?
So it has never been an issue of people saying that we should not do self custody.
You know exactly what I'm talking about. We speak a lot. Yes, yes.
We've always been aligned that that is the goal for this platform, whether it was the original Palm NFT built platform or now Candy. We're all aligned that self custody is the goal. That's internally all the way up to the top at Candy. Same with DC. Same with WBD. It's always been a question around the development side, the amount of effort that it would take to build that out, and the competing priorities that we have. Because if we're focusing on building self custody, that means that we're not able to focus on and build something else. So it's something that we've always wanted to build. It's just an extremely challenging feature to build out on top of the existing platform.
And Mr. Ward, what are your thoughts on interoperability? I mean, I guess paying using different cryptocurrencies on a platform, integrating cows and comics to other platforms, i.e., OpenSea. Obviously, that's to me in my head, that's a step two, and it has been for a while. I leave you to comment on that, because obviously that's obviously something that I want to see as a Web3 guy. And I'm sure you've got NFTs on other platforms. I've seen your OpenSea stuff, Mr. Ward, so you know exactly what I mean. What could you say here to temper expectations and to build, like, give us something as well?
So I think that interoperability would be a very cool thing to be able to offer, but it's not something that would be able to happen automatically once self custody is enabled. Because in order to be interoperable, you need to be able to bridge your assets, which requires some development efforts. And then we are a business, so we do want to try to continue receiving royalties on secondary market sales, and that's something that some platforms guarantee to collect and some do not. So it's a consideration. That's not something that's going to block us from doing this, but it's something that we are keeping in mind. But there are NFT platforms on the Palm network already. So nftrade.com is a NFT marketplace that supports the Palm network. So once self custody is enabled, you'll be able to bring your collection anywhere within the Palm network immediately. But bridging assets to other networks is something that would require additional development.
Right. And it'll be in your MetaMask in the Palm network, wouldn't it? Would be
Yes, or whatever wallet provider you use.
amazing. Okay, I'm quickly just gonna check the comments to see if that was if anyone else have a. Oh, okay, so no particular questions on that. Okay. Um, just checking. So just circling back, what has been what are yours and DC's plans for marketing the project? Do you feel like this is something that's gonna ramp up? I guess because we've come off the lines of mass adoption. Um, is there any plans to market it more, or yeah, I leave that kind of open.
Yes, there are plans that are currently being routed and reviewed for approval for marketing for this year. So if we do not have a paid marketing campaign rolled out this year, I'm personally going to be very shocked and disappointed.
Wow. Okay, well that's amazing. And you've talked about the social media strategy for, well, you talked about X for quite a bit about some of the like I don't know, like some of the adverts on X, like the scam adverts, right? That actually drains your wallet.
Yeah.
You've written like a thread about this, and I'm like, yeah, it's actually ridiculous how. And if you think about like mass adoption, it's like, okay, so someone doesn't know anything, and they think, oh cool, finally I'm gonna get into my DC wallet. I've got my self custody, whatever, and obviously that happens. But I've also heard things, Mr. Ward, that um, are you does Warner Brothers have some sort of um, are they restricted in X in any way? Could you, because I know that everything goes through Candy right now, like the marketing, right? What has been the shift since the merger for the social media marketing and obviously interacting with us? Can you talk a bit more about that?
I can't really talk specifics around like DC and Warner Brothers changes to their social media policies, but yeah, the majority of the program communications over the past couple of months have come from the Candy social handles, and I, I don't think that's going to be changing anytime soon. And there are challenges with using a website like Twitter with some of the you know the scam ads that are there, like what I was talking about before about the challenges that
Mm.
there are in the Web3 space that doesn't do us any favors. That's one of the problems that we deal with and have to navigate around.
No, absolutely. But I also think that I asked myself this question, like, um, when we talk about the numbers of what the space had, I'm talking like real users versus, let's say, from the bull market, from when everything was hyped. Like, let's say the amount of people that minted overdrive discs, right, or fandom discs, versus, and we've seen the supply of that versus what's actually on the market and stuff. What are your thoughts on that? I guess what am I trying to say here? Like, do you think those were real people, or do you think those were like not legit users? Like, if you catch my drift.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I mean, there's definitely both. There are genuine users who were a part of that launch of the DC Fandom 2021 collection that we had. I mean, I was one of those users before I even joined Palm
mm,
NFT Studios. I had an account and minted those NFTs, but there are many accounts that are not genuine, and those fandom discs will never be moving off of those accounts because the user just doesn't actually exist. So it's one
mm,
of those things where we launched a program and maybe we were a little naive about the levels that people would go to take advantage of a free mint project like that.
yeah.
So it's It's definitely both. There are many genuine users that were a part of that initial launch, but there were also many that were not genuine.
Yeah, again, just slipping this in here. I mean, it would be cool to actually see what kind of which of the assets was moved off, or if it's blocked for sale, or how many of those assets are inactive. Just as a, because I know that there's a ton of like statistics now on Candy available. This if this was available, we would actually see the true supply on some of these things. It would be useful.
Yeah, I don't think this is something that we would actively display on platform, and there's probably many reasons that I'm not even thinking of why we wouldn't want to do that, but it's also because, you know, it would be an evolving number. Like as accounts are reviewed and decisions are made to leave blocked or unblocked, that's a data point that we constantly be shifting.
Mhm. Okay. I'll put that there. But hmm, well, again, just building off of the other point that we had. Um, yeah, I guess the goal is yes, right, to be able to just grow these out to actual new users. Um,
Yeah, we always want to bring new users into the space. It was one of the things that we were excited about with moving to Candy.com, where it's a multi-client platform because it just in it just by being there, you're exposing yourself to new audiences and growing new users. So we're we're always looking for ways to expand and bring new people into the space.
Mr. Ward, I'm just gonna. I guess the most difficult parts of what I've written, we've kind of touched upon it, so I want to just finish it really. Because we've spoken about bots, and it's obviously we know that this is prevalent. Let's say in the when you go for Nike drops, or anything that's online, like digitally, like if an item is sought after, bad actors come into play. What are your thoughts on? Is this a constant battle? Do you think with the bots and I would even say the multi accounters because the reason why I'm raising this is because we've seen recently on the marketplace, like multiple sales of a cow. For example, 13 of them got listed um, at $230, and like something called a sell wall, which drives. I suppose if someone wanted to really drive some fear or unnecessary fear, or uncertainty into a project, they would just coordinate and do that, to buy back in lower. And there are like these nefarious kind of topics that were. I'm not suggesting that that's what's happening. I'm just saying that it's possible within a free market to invite these kind of users, and I'm sure your compliance team battles on a daily basis. So it's not actually a made up thing that I'm talking about. But what is the thoughts on this, and on your fight against it? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's a never-ending battle. We're constantly developing new protections and new ways to combat bot activity on the platform, and the people building the bots are always looking for new ways to circumvent whatever protections we're putting in place. So it's something that we're always going to be dealing with. We know that we don't have a 100% success rate, but that's always our goal. There's no way to have a long term healthy platform if you're not actively taking measures to prevent bots from taking advantage of sales and beating out real users on your platform. So it it's
It's a
something
headache.
that
It's a headache. I can see you like you're like, ah, I'm the same.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's annoying, right? When you see those kind of accounts. And actually, the funny thing is, the Candy platform is so transparent these days now, more transparent than it's ever been for like for any platform. And I actually commend you guys. And in my opinion, we're seeing the true dawn of what Web3 and transparency is, right? Like, this is
We're
it, you know?
we're trying. We're trying to be as transparent as we can. There are many more things that we can be doing that are part of our product backlog to build to be even more transparent, to be even
It's amazing.
more on-chain than we already are. But yeah, the bot issue is something that it not only does it have like short-term negative impacts on our users, but there's also long-term issues where you know, people complain about long process times for withdrawals from the platform, and that's because of bot and other activity that we have, where we have to be so thorough with our reviews to make sure that we are taking the steps that we need to legally protect ourselves.
And you know what I'm gonna say? If you're watching and if you're running a bot account, mm, like, get the fuck out of here. That's what I'm gonna say. Um, anyway, sorry about that. But I mean, two things that come into play, and those are kind of Web3 kind of fun scenarios that we have. And I was going to go into packs, but let's just hammer this while we're here. I mean, obviously, we know that this DAS 3D has been allocated a bunch of, let's say, 1,000 cows, but I guess the minting expectation was a lot more than 10, like 11,544. So now we have a force that obviously is constantly selling and playing on the market. Is there a way that some of these items could be reboxed up, or so we could redrop them or resell them and reserve them for giveaways for to true unique users, so that they don't add to the, for what's being listed? Again, this is just purely my idea, and you could shoot this down, but um
So
just
I can't comment specifically on the agreements that we had in place with Jazz 3D, but just in general, outside of what we need to do from a regulatory and a compliance standpoint, we try to be as hands off of anything that happens in the marketplace so that the users are the ones who decide what gets bought and sold there. So we're we're not going to be trying to influence sales in any way there.
okay.
Um, the redrop, resell, giveaways, those we would never take assets from another account and use that as a new drop or a new sale. And then giveaways just has a lot of legal complexities where it would be fairly straightforward for us to do a giveaway or raffle lottery type of experience for US users, but then that leaves out a huge proportion of our community who wouldn't be able to participate in that. So it's something that we keep in mind because as Palm and now Candy, we also have a high number of cows in our collection that we would love to be able to use for things like that, but we need to figure out a way of doing it that would be fair and open to everyone on the platform.
Well, the funny enough, I have a next point as well on but I mean, again, this is a Web3 terminology about buying back some of the cows so that it could be redistributed into real users. Because I guess the less it's with bots, the less it's with multi-accounters, and the less it's in the hands of actual real comic book fans, right? I think the better off we'll be. And is there any plans to kind of integrate that? So let's say, I don't know, when we get the Legacy Cow print or some comic campaign where you scan the barcode and you get the chance to win. Are those kind of things on the table, or is again like the legal, or is it a headache in terms of like the hurdles you have to jump when it comes to it?
So there are definitely ideas along those lines that we're thinking about, promotions in physical comics that allow you to redeem for something on platform is something that we have discussed and we're looking into. So we would love to do things like that. I don't I'm not totally clear what you mean by the buybacks, but I don't think that is something that we would do. But other types of promotions are things that we are looking at.
Yeah. Again, I mean, do you know what the funny thing is, Mr. Ward? None of the points I've raised is a problem that's, it's not even a problem. It's not something that's unique to the platform. It's just like when we see those listings, they're so transparent, like, and it's more transparent than others. I mean, I would say that, like, I would say 100%. That's why I think suddenly, it's a topic, right? I mean, do you agree?
Yeah, yeah, and I mean it's not something that is unique in this space either. You talk about you look at Nike and when they have limited edition shoe sales that sell out in a fraction of a second, that
Resellers.
that raises questions. Ticketmaster famously has issues with
Yeah.
bots going in and scooping up ticket supplies that make it impossible for genuine users to get them at face value. So it's definitely something that goes beyond just our industry or our marketplace within the industry. So there are ways that we can mitigate it. On the tech side, we build up protections where we can and use them as best as we can. But then there are other things like what we did for the Batman #1 sale. We wanted to make sure that uh, a, as much of a percentage of that collection could get to genuine users as possible. And one of the ways that we did that was by having early access gated by ownership of other collections on platform who we know are real users. So things like that we can do that go beyond just the tech protections that we have in place.
No, absolutely. I think ultimately the more hands that you can get, like, say, like those hype drops, like, in my ideal scenario is, Action Comics or these 27 will go into the hands of the people that held and, like, that exhibit like collector behavior, like, as much as possible. Because I mean, if you think about, and, again, you don't have to comment on this, but it was a funny quip I was having with a friend. Was we all thought, like, irregardless of the value, everybody got a Batman #1 that we know of. But did that correlate into whatever else we were expecting? It didn't matter. Like, we have it, like, we have it in our collection, and we appreciate it. So, and the same with the back Cal. To be honest with you, like, when I saw the project and how things were token gated via Cal, you would hope that the people that buy the Cal actually appreciate it, that's its attributes. It's, when we get the physical, or we go into a metaverse or whatever else, you would love to keep that asset with you, and it drives down all those loyalty and the experience, right? Like, so it's not just like, click drop, oh, this is for the money. You know what I'm trying to say here, like, and this is the entire experience that we're having. I I'm trying to squeeze in everything that I've put in, obviously, but um just to go into it a little bit more, and I hope we could go a little bit more over time, is, are we gonna be seeing any improvements to the pack mechanics and art? Because it's something kind of nice, really, about the new platform being able to keep them sealed, and resell them, and obviously change the game. But is there any plans to, like, enhance the pack animations, to craft like with it? What are your thoughts on that?
Um, I mean, I don't know. Like I never say no to anything. We're not actively looking or focusing on the packs themselves right now. There are other things that might change about them, but we wouldn't be focusing on bringing like animations to the pack cover art. Um, but it has been interesting seeing that people collect the packs, which kind of almost goes against some of the things that we've been promoting, where we want people reading the comics, and it's hard to do that when they're sealed in a pack. So there are other things that we'll be doing that might encourage people to open the packs actually, like,
Ah,
the comic
interesting.
reader enhancements that we're doing might encourage people to open their packs to read the comics and participate in what we're building there.
Yeah, I mean, I personally open one and keep one, so I do open one. Um,
People are going to collect what they want to collect, so you have that option to keep those packs, collect them, sell them if you want to on Candy.
Mr. Ward, talk to me about your personal NFT and physical collecting journey. Like, what are the things do you personally like to collect? I mean, I always just dive in everything about like the project, and there's never enough time. But personally, what do you like to collect other than I suppose the candy stuff? And then, as a DC fan, what are the things that you personally want to see?
Um, I mean, I am personally drawn to digital physical connections. Over my shoulder here, I have a Tristan Eaton Gemma that I burned as an NFT and redeemed for the physical print version of it. The first NFT I ever bought was Damien Hirst, The Currency, where you had the option to choose within a year if you wanted to burn it for physical, keep it as the NFT. I sold it as the NFT. Um, so my NFT collecting journey has run a pretty wide range of, you know, reasons for collecting. There's been speculating, there's been buying things just because I like the art, I like the photography. It had utility offerings like the physical connections. Yeah, I try to dabble it in as much as I can. Physical collecting, I don't have a ton of physical collections. I have
Rocks,
a
right? Rocks. No,
no. Well,
no.
when I was younger, I had
I remember.
a rock collection.
Yeah.
Baseball cards were really big for me when I was growing up. I have a handful of ancient Roman coins that I've collected. I really enjoy watches and the like engineering and mechanics that go into watches. So I have a few watches in a collection. But yeah, I definitely have more NFTs than anything else.
Mm. Awesome. Sorry, this is just playing up on my mind again, guys. If you see any activity as well on previously on when we talked about all those heinous stuff that comes on, just yeah, like keep doing what you're doing. We know that there is a channel in Discord that it's a bug report channel, right? In the support, and people have been like vigilant than ever. These guys have nowhere to go. Like seriously, like you can see that they've sold something for over the price for a non-edition item and they're just gone. So anyway, sorry, let me just just thinking about that in my head before it slips away. But sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and we're always checking that, and I'll literally just take screenshots from conversations in the bug reports channel and share that with our team to get them looked into.
Cool. Badges and reward systems. Now, this is why I asked you about your collecting style and everything else. But it's refreshing, really, that you guys are rewarding engagement. Like those recent badges that we had. Wow, like honestly, they look absolutely amazing, and it's just nice to actually get. It almost feels like a freebie because obviously it's an NFT, but I understand that these are will these token gate anything in the future? I know that the Legends of Gotham City would, but is there anything that that you could discuss at the moment? And will we be getting more shots at getting to become a legend still, at all?
Yeah, there will be more opportunities in the future to advance through the ranks to become a legend of Gotham City. But yeah, we do plan on using these not only as a recognition of participation and engagement, but also, future gated opportunities on platform is something that we have planned, but don't have any specifics that we can share yet.
Okay, awesome. Again, so that means we still have a chance, and hopefully, obviously, the people that have um, has perfected it first are gonna see, you know um what they deserve, which is, which is being apparent with the AMAs and whatever else. And I know that there was a some issues with some of the voting, and actually a lot of like hurt with the community, with it, we know, in the sense of, oh, I have submitted the vote but I can't prove it. But now, I guess, since the last two votes, you guys have been sending receipts out, right?
Yeah, so it's obviously a big source of frustration, and we understand why. And we're working on a case by case basis to review reports from users to see what we can do to get those rectified where there are issues. It's one of those things where we launched a process with the tools that we had available to us, and they weren't perfect, and there were some issues with some of them, but we have been able to correct a lot of the issues that have been reported to us. And moving forward, we've learned from these issues, and it's not something that will be repeated.
Amazing. Um, hmm. So just on that point, is there going to be any, when on the rewards aspect, is there any more plans on rewarding sets? And we've seen, we've seen VV launch its MCP finally for the queues. Um, but obviously, this is separate from that. But is this the Candy DC platform? Did you guys have any plans in like, rewarding the collecting sets and point system, or is that something that you can't discuss at the moment? I know this is a go ahead.
So it's not like I wouldn't be able to share specifics around this, but we have been talking about how we can recognize collecting and engagement. Badges are one piece of this. There's also been talks about it, if and when we can start incorporating a leaderboard system. But one of the things that would be important to us is not focusing on just what's in a user's wallet, but also how they're engaging with the programs and with the community. So, um, you're asking about rewarding sets. Maybe not. Something that we're still talking through.
Yeah, I mean, when you guys have done the unannounced set poster airdrop, that has really driven a lot of like, wow. Like, I mean, I remember I have the legendary, and I think I just didn't bother to buy. It was like under $10, and I was just like, no way, And now it's like, okay, I'm ready personally. Yeah, that's all
Yeah,
I'm gonna say.
it's one of those things where the original Dawn of DC poster chase that we had created for you guys. We learned a lot from that. We got a ton of feedback about, pre-announcing rewards for completing sets and completing series and things like that. So we've shifted our focus to, identifying moments where we can reward collecting, but trying not to kind of pre-announce that ahead of
Hmm.
time, so that people aren't buying because of speculation, but they're building collections because they're things that they connect with and want to collect.
Absolutely. And part of that is me speculating on Batman Beyond, which is which is this week's drop. I mean, I actually just absolutely love. Again, I just want to shout that out. And I hope you guys can see that. Yeah, you can. Obviously, the exclusive art that's been hand drawn. By Dustin, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, no, it's absolutely great, and I whatever else, by the way, and I obviously don't want you to say anything, but I collected it because I wanted it, and I enjoy the series. So I mean, that should be it, really. I go ahead and I go post crazy a little bit sometimes. That's just me being a fan of the platform more than anything. But shout out to you guys, and in the original work, and even the epic cover. It looks absolutely beautiful. So
Yeah, it's always fun when DC is able to offer something like this for us to bring to you guys. Like having these hand drawn, hand colored covers is such a unique and cool collecting experience to have.
yeah, I just want to shout out the community. Like while we're here, I just want to shout out to ATL, Rube, Ediscan, Legacy Swag, GM Ryan, DCNFT Feed, Dollars, Glitchy, Francisco, Lisa, Buck, Petro, Bones, Thompson Crypto, Lomax, My Collectibles, Pirates, everybody in Discord, everybody's watching. Michael, everybody's here. JL Rami, Meet Angel, Marco, Sorry No Salad, everybody who is here. And again, just want to shout you guys out.
Yeah,
Is there?
I was just gonna say it's so fun seeing how many familiar names there are out there and like recognizing people just from their PFTs and then you know, New York Comic Con getting to actually meet people in person for the first time was a really cool experience.
Is there any plans for that, or is that just going to be announced as and when? But about the meetups and stuff like.
No, nothing that we can announce now. I mean, the in-person events are some of our favorites to put on and one of the coolest utilities that we're able to offer, but they're also one of the most challenging to put together. And unfortunately, usually the details get ironed out at the last minute, which is unfortunate because by the nature of it, you need to know with as much notice as possible. So we we know that there are frustrations with how short notice we give you guys, but unfortunately, that's just the nature of the beast sometimes.
I want to shout out everybody on the Signal Discord as well. And yeah, a handful more people that will be upset. I didn't say their name. I'll probably a handful more people that you dig and Rolex, everybody in the chat. Jake, who else is there? Pirate Bro, Choki, um, Jordan. Again, I just wanna just say hello to everybody. Is there anything else that well, I was just gonna say, do we have any further surprises? But then it wouldn't be a surprise if you did say it was gonna happen. But I'm just gonna slide this in here, and yeah, like I said, I'm just gonna say this. I don't want an answer. I just say I'm looking forward to seeing more of the surprises that's coming. I
Us too.
want 100%. You guys have been nonstop since the migration. Um, and I will lead up to because I've seen a ready verse question here, but I will lead up to it. I'm going to be a little bit more selfish here and just focus on the back house for a minute. I've covered packs, I've covered comics, and I seem to be covering everyone else's questions but my own. So I just want to be a little bit selfish right now and just ask about back house to curtail this interview. But what is a back house to you, Mr. Ward? Like, what do you see it as? I know what it means to me, but what does it mean to you, and how do you think it like, it could evolve into? What could it evolve into? It's an open-ended question.
Um, I mean, I view it as kind of two things. Like it's a unique piece of art as one that like you connect with a style or a material and it just speaks to you and you want to buy and use it as your PFP and your identity. But it's also a membership in a community. And I think that's one of the biggest pieces because like we're here building as much utility as we can for you all and those connections to DC and letting you guys, write stories and participate in the DC NFT universe. But you know, we we can't be a community. You guys create the community. We give you the ability to connect, but you know, you guys create all of that, like the spaces that you hold, Discord, real life meetups that are self-organized. Like it's just so awesome seeing that, and I think that's something that's just going to keep continuing for forever. um you know, I know one of the other questions that people have is what happens at the end of the 2-year roadmap.
Mm.
And yeah, uh, there is no end date for Bat Cow's utility. There will be changes that happen. We have two more 52-day updates scheduled between now and the end of the 2-year roadmap, and we're looking forward to sharing those with you guys. You know, there's probably going to be some changes to how utility is rolled out in the future. And we're looking at how we build more connections that are on platform and in the stories that we've created, to let the Bat Cows continue offering utility wherever we can and to have the ability to connect to and influence other collections.
So there has been a YouTube clip going around about the Scott, which is CEO of Candy Digital. Um, about I just wanted to play just because some users had the concern that he felt that, again, I'll just play it, and then it's just a minute, so and probably be good to have Scott on actually at some point. But I guess this is his debut on my channel.
Utility forever. I
Um,
think that too many projects sort of sold themselves as, hey, buy this initial release of assets, and then there's going to be utility forever. That's a hard business model to sustain. But what really lives on the back of that is not the fact that you have a small group, but that you have a community that can continue to grow and scale, right? And so whether that's gaming, whether that's loyalty, whether that's tickets, whether that's sort of cross-brand relationships, those are the things that I think everyday consumers can look at and say, you know what, don't care if it's called a digital collectible, don't care if it's called an NFT. I see that as something that's valuable to me, right, as a fan and a customer. And I'm going to go participate in that. I'm going to tell my friend about that. And I think that when we come out of the back end of this, right, again, it isn't going to be, we're not going to flip a switch and the game's going to be on again. We're going to see continued steady growth.
So when that was said, obviously, and then to me, how I interpreted it was, okay, there is an asset that you guys have released that you're making secondary, thinking as a business, you're making secondary sales from it, and as we know, you are a business, and we are users, and we are consumers of this experience. I guess the worry was that like some were saying that they saw that as um, Scott seeing it as a burden, but I didn't see that. I saw it as he's just saying the reasoning behind people expecting utility from an asset, and how it becomes a token for, as you said, community, which is the market. Really, I mean, think about the latest 10% off for the. It wasn't sponsored by Candy Digital. It was probably the Batman concert people reaching out to you guys to get new market, right? So, what are your thoughts on that clip in particular?
I mean, I totally agree with what Scott's saying. Having guaranteed utility forever at a certain level is unsustainable. But there are things that we can continue delivering and continue doing, that you know makes gives reason to belonging to the Backcal community. So there are always going to be things that we're going to be looking at that we'll be able to offer to you guys, and there will be partnerships that we'll be able to strike that are people who want to get in front of you all. And those are things that we'll always be open to and we'll be offering when we can. And the membership into the Backhouse community is something that no one can take away from you.
Mhm.
So that's something that will always be there.
Mr. Ward, like we are, like let's say 6,800 are unique out of 11,544. There's like 40% to 50% slots to new people that haven't heard of this project yet, and that they could actually go into. And as we've discussed about other one of one PFP collections from DC, because they have lots of different characters. We've seen that Batman is the Batcowl, but obviously on a market such as this, it's probably important to just grow the current one. But again, I'm just talking out loud. All I'm trying to say is, um, UDP again. The 10% off, that was just somebody else wanting to tap into this particular market. So how? I mean, I can't see it running out of utility if there's a ready audience. That's what I'm trying to say. It doesn't have to cost you anything to give utility. In fact, you probably want to give that utility because it makes business sense to do it. So again, I mean, I'm personally just highlighting this because I'm fighting it myself. Like, because people have had opposing views, and I'm just bringing it forward.
Yeah, and I mean, we have other collectibles on our platform, but the Backhouse community is the most engaged community on the platform. So, we want to make sure that we're always recognizing that community and everything that they've done for us, and we want to keep recognizing that and delivering utility whenever we can.
I'm even gonna go as far as this, right? And say like, do you hold the same belief as I do that even without us utility, the cow is very much a collectible item in its own. I personally see it. I remember Shark saying it. It's DC's first PFP offering to that Jim Lee is wearing, Josh Hackbarth is wearing, and it comes in all these traits and all these amazing. Like, it's beautiful in itself, and you've hinted physical cows and physical merch that might be tied to it that will even enhance its collectability, in my opinion. Yeah, do you share the same the
Yeah,
opinion?
I mean, the cow that I have as my PFP, I
Yeah,
purchased it
take us off. Oh,
I because I liked it,
yeah.
uh, on its own. Like, I get all of the utility for the Bat Cows project with the original cow that I minted over a year and a half ago. But I saw this cow in the marketplace, loved the colors, the materials, and wanted it because of what it is, not because of anything else that's connected to it.
100%. And I think that really, I mean, the back cowl itself has bamboozled a lot of people as to what it is because it's such a new asset class. Like I'm always in Discord talking to a comics guy or a collectibles guy, and and I'm like, there's levels to this game. Like, when I first saw what a back cowl is, it was love at first sight. Like, I knew, and then all these utilities that comes with it and the significance of it. And now, all with all the announcements of the physical cow, the merch, the ongoing utility, the just being able to connect with your cow is just wow. And being a cow's being your own character and entry point into the DC universe, multiverse as well is something that we haven't discussed, which is probably the biggest thing. Um, okay, just a couple of yeah. So, is there any plans on the cows being more prominent on the site? Maybe like there's a collectibles and comics pack section, but maybe actually being and taking place on that particular screen. So I'm being a bit selfish here, guys, and I'm just talking about back cows, but I think I've covered everything else I wanted to for the others. But like for example here in the product type, because obviously it's a bit like it feels diluted at the moment. I know that shout out to the team and Straith to you guys have actually put it up here from where it was in the T. But is there a way that we could see the cows more prominently? And you can call me selfish, guys, but good.
So the marketplace and collections on candy.com have a ton more features and data available to people than what we had on the previous platform, but it's missing a couple of key things that we did have on the old platform, which is being able to view unlisted assets, being able to filter by specific traits. So those are things that we definitely want to bring back and have available again. I don't know when that is going to happen, but that is one of our goals to bring that back.
And the HD pictures as well. Right?
Yes, that should be ready soon.
Ah,
That's already in development. I don't know when it's going to be released, but getting those download high res options will be coming back.
and what about interactivity? Say to be able to send offers and maybe send a DM or turn the ability to like, oh, I don't want anyone bugging me about my collectibles. But you know what I'm trying to say? Like that would be a cool aspect that would actually enhance market activity and being able to socialize on the market itself. Um,
Yeah. So all of these things are being discussed as features that we would like to bring to the platform. Would love to have offers. Would love to uh, build out the ability to do auctions on the platform. Things like that we would love to have.
um, I want to ask you about the Ondora rarity rating and then everything else. So this is for ranking the cows and the rarity. I know that you guys have outsourced this to a third party, and there's obviously the rarity spreadsheet made by NF Tinker, and people that are saying, okay, it needs to be on pure math and how rare cows are occurring. But then there's also some people that ask, well, actually, on any NFT collection in Web3, you'll be able to actually, there is some sort of algorithm that rates it. Maybe it's not the collector, like the collection, the people that made the collection themselves that do it, but there are some resources available on hand when someone comes in. So I guess what I'm trying to say, Mr. Ward, is if a new user comes in, how can they know how rare their cows are unless I go ahead and send them a spreadsheet that tells them how it is? And like I guess it comes to the point of onboarding new users. Is that going to be on Candy updates as well, or what are your thoughts on this? Why it's set out this way?
So just a quick clarification before diving into it. The Ondora rarity is not something that we outsource to them as a third party. It's something that they built independently just on their
Ah,
own.
all right. Ah,
Um, yeah. So that wasn't at our direction or our request. It's something that they created on their own.
hmm.
Um, I understand why there's a desire for it. It's something that I've looked up in other collections that I own from other NFTs. Um, I don't think it's something that we are focused on right now. I think that there are other areas where we can be putting resources into that will deliver more utility to our users than a rarity calculator. But it's definitely something that I get, and I can see why there would be value to some users for having that, to be able to look up the traits that they have or the traits that they're looking for to see how hard they are to get, but just not something that we're able to prioritize right now.
Okay. Well, I'm just gonna say unofficially, guys, you can always come and ask me. So, while I live and breathe, I shall be with the cows and hold my cows to bed and everything else. So, I'm sorry that got a little bit weird, but yeah, no. So, okay. And you said already that you guys will be releasing more um, info on Cal Utility soon. And I guess just to like not like finish off, but is it trickier to, and like I said, like within international holders, is that always been a pain point? I mean, I can't see the DC merch site, for example, right? Because I'm in the UK, but is that something that's just one of the things that you guys are looking to overcome in the hurdle basis?
Yeah, it's something that we always want to be able to deliver on. Like every utility we want to have available to as many users as possible. It just is harder to deliver utility that is global than it is to deliver utility that is, US only. It's not something that like we're constantly making decisions keeping that in mind. Like it was really important to us for the Robin Lives Batman 428 giveaway to have that available to all back cow holders internationally. Um, and there are other things like the DC shop not being available to people outside the US that we felt it was important to make it available to people who could participate in it, even though it meant that others wouldn't be able to. But future merch collections, we would love to be able to find a way to have that globally available to everyone.
Yeah. So I got thrown by the comments. Nice comments actually. I was expecting like pitchforks, but no, thank you guys. Honestly, this is just something me and just like everybody just talks about, and you probably hear it every single day, so that's why it's effortless. Um, Again, because we've touched upon this in our like 10 months ago. I mean, will we be seeing you? I guess everybody wants to take a shot at the king and a second chance at getting all the nice thing, like the nice cows or the nice new shiny stuff that people will be chasing. But I mean, am I right in saying that you just want to make max this out before you think about anything else? And as you said, there's other collectibles on the platform that people could bridge to, like the Harley Quinn charms, right? Which is like like $5 entry.
Yeah,
Really,
I mean, I think it's important to us that we fulfill all of our promises to the Bad Cow community before we create a new kind of one of one
dynamic.
PFP collection on the platform. We will be bringing other collections to the platform, but there at least the first one will be expanding on the back house and building on the story that you guys have created. But it's important to us to make sure that you know our back house are our crown jewels on the platform, and we need to make sure that we deliver on our promises to you all before we create a new collection.
Hang on, let me just get that emoji and just put it up. Sorry, I'm gonna be these ones. Um, okay. Well, again, so obviously this came up. Are users going to be able to burn accounts when we get self custody? So I mean, yeah, this has been brought forward. When we get self custody, you can send it to a burn wallet. And the funny thing is, some users are like, send it to a burn wallet, send it to my wallet, obviously. But um, are we able to preserve the provenance of the original rarities by highlighting the original values? So much like when a comics gets burned and what's the original minting, are we able to do that for cows? And what was the decision? Yeah, go ahead. Before I jump into that, I'll shut up.
You know, I'm not sure. So yes, if you have self custody of your back cow, if you wanted to, you could send it to the burn wallet.
Or send it
I
to
don't.
my wallet, guys. Why you do it? Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know why someone would do that. And I do know that right now we do highlight collections, like when we close a sale, we burn the excess supply, and we track that information on platform. I'm not sure how that's tracked exactly, if it's something that would be automatically updated, like if we look at a collection and if it's in the burn wallet address, we count it as burned, or if it's something that
Hmm.
we're, yeah, I'm not sure how that
Oh,
works
no,
today.
that's okay. That's okay. You don't have to fully answer it, but again, it's just something that I'm highlighting because I worry about everything about the cows, right? So, when I say worry, I'm not like
And
yeah.
I
I mean,
I do have to run soon.
oh, okay,
Um, sorry.
okay. Um, so with this one, then, Mr. Ward, is there anything that you can highlight on this? I mean, are these like a sneak peek, or is there anything you can discuss on? If you are taking final questions, then my final questions would be, um, what is the pain point when it comes to the 3D files? When it comes to getting our 3D files for the cows, and is there anything that you can discuss on the merch, and anything you can discuss on Ready Player One? And those are the three. So please, if you have 5 minutes, what could you say about those three topics? If you do need to.
Um, yeah, sharing the 3D files is a very complicated question, not only technically but also legally, and making sure that Warner Brothers and DC are able to protect their trademarks as best they can. Um, so there's a lot of things that need to be considered with that, and right now I don't believe that there are plans to share the 3D files,
Mhm.
but it's possible that things can change in the future.
Okay. Well, I just want to say to DC Warner Brothers, AI is able to actually get our cows now and transform them in like 2 seconds. So the technology of actually giving us our 3D files will actually enable us to market the back house for you more effectively. So again, just championing the users there. Is there anything that you can finally shed light on the physical merch? Because obviously you've learned, and I'm not going to dig into that wound, but actually says premium merchandise on candyupdates.com. It actually says physical cows. Is there anything that you want to say at this point, or just watch, wait, and see?
Um, No, I'll just say that we've heard the feedback on the first Backhow merch offering that we rolled out, and we'll be making changes based on that feedback. And we are saying premium merchandise for a reason. And then the 3D cows, it's something that we're working on. We're talking with different partners to figure out how best to deliver that as an offering to you all, so that you can have a physical version of a back cowl in your hand.
What? Sorry. Can you say that again?
And nothing is delivered until it's delivered, but these are the conversations that we're having, and these are the goals that we have.
I cannot wait. My heart is racing. Okay, finally, there's been an announcement about the Ready Player One and Warner Brothers dipping their toes there, and rife with speculation. Obviously, we're like, wow, is this gonna happen? Are we? Is this something that you can discuss, or is it still in the groundworks? Is it likely to come in 2024, or is it more again to temper expectations? Um,
I'm not sure what the timelines are for the Futureverse when it would be ready for launch. If that's going to be a 2024 or 2025 thing, I'm not sure. It is something that we are watching closely, and we're excited to see what happens there, but can't can't really comment on any specifics around anything there.
hmm. Okay, and finally, I guess, is there anything that you would wish for from the community, and any final thoughts before you wrap up? I want to say thank you to you guys, to yourself, and to everybody watching. But go ahead. Is there anything that you want to wrap us up?
Um, yeah, I mean, just keep being active and engaged and sharing your feedbacks, your criticisms, what you like, what you don't like. We're always listening and trying to become better based on what we hear from you. So feel free to ping me on Discord or on Twitter. Like, I might not always respond, but I'm always reading and listening. So really appreciate how much you guys care and enjoy what we've been building for you. So it's been really a huge privilege for us to be able to shape these stories with you all, and we're really excited about what we're going to be bringing to you this year.
No, thank you so much for building this experience for us, and working with us.
Thank
And
you.
yes, and I hope to see you in the next one. Thank you everybody for watching, and yeah, have a pleasant rest of your day.
You too. Cheers, bros.
Thank you.
Bye.